your mouth, whatever.
Oh, okay. I hold it, whatever.
Like that, or yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I think we're rolling. And,
Okay.
So my name's Jeff.
Ken, nice to meet
Ken,
you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for agreeing to that.
Yeah,
So
no problem.
I do need to repeat the question.
Okay.
And then we can just talk. We don't have to worry about the camera.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do you think happens, Ken, after we die? So,
I think we just return to the earth, and that's the end.
that's
of it.
right. And you said worm food.
I did say, yeah. I was a little less diplomatic about
pretty
it.
graphic, but yeah. I mean, have you always believed that, or?
I mean, throughout most of my adult life, like the majority of my life, yeah. I was raised Catholic, and that's not necessarily a whole lot of fun, famously.
Okay.
Just that's what I landed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just become conscious of that belief at a certain point, or decide upon it, or do you remember the process that came about?
I'm sure at some point I decided on it. I'm sure it grew out of some like angsty teenage, like I don't want to go to church thing.
Okay.
And then
it's a good excuse not to go to church.
Right. Yeah. Because I was raised Catholic and went to church every Sunday, and you
feel like it was forced on you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It wasn't a choice. You just went.
Yeah.
And not to slight anybody that believes in that, but yeah, that's at some point in my adulthood, I was like, it's a big bet.
Yeah.
That we go back to the earth, but that's kind of what I landed on based on.
And would you say also that you don't believe in God along with that belief, or?
I mean, I guess.
Not that you have to have a label or anything.
Right. I definitely probably lean more like atheist than agnostic. So yeah, no belief in a
don't
higher
want that
being.
to fall over.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, so the way I look at atheist versus agnostic is an atheist might say, I think there's different types of atheists. Some will say there definitely is no God, and I want you to believe it because the belief in God is the worst thing in the world, and they become kind of evangelical about it.
But
the others would say, there is no God. Almost like one can say there is no gold in China. Well, have you really dug up everywhere in China? See what I'm saying?
No, I
An
understand.
agnostic would say, I don't think there's a God, or I have no reason to believe there's a God, but I'm not sure. There could be. I think that would be the difference. Maybe. I think labels are a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Confining.
And I don't find myself I call those type of atheists like militant atheists.
Yeah, militant.
And truth, like they're just as bad is kind of relative. They can be just as kind of untoward as your militant, like your evangelicals and stuff like that.
And I've actually, in my experience talking to people, I've actually found that the kind of the militant atheists have a church background.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they know the ramifications of like actually believing.
Sure.
And so they're really fighting hard against it. Whereas I've met a lot of people that say they don't believe in God, and it's like, it's no big deal, they don't think about it.
I feel like I fall more into that camp where it's a more passive, like, because I'm not going to fault anybody that is religious or isn't religious. Like, whatever gets you through the day, right? Life is hard. It's a weird time to be alive.
Yeah.
And if that's what gets you through the day, more power to you, and I support it.
Yeah. And a lot of people, it's like, I want religion for my kids. I want them to have good morals.
Yeah,
that
for
sort
sure.
of thing,
Right. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. You said that you didn't enjoy the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, just so you know.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not trying to advocate one church or the other, but do you remember what you didn't like about it? Or
I mean, just like as a child, no kid likes to be told they have to do anything.
Yeah.
And then especially when it's, somebody speaking a language you don't necessarily understand for an hour every Sunday.
Oh, was it? It was in Latin?
Yeah, it was
really?
Pretty tough.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here?
Especially as you get older, you're like, the football's on. What am I doing at church? Why do I got to get dressed up every week?
Did you go to catechism and all that?
Yeah, I did. Of course.
Did that help clear up anything, or no?
Now, again, it was like as a child, it felt more, I guess, burdensome, right? Like there wasn't. My household wasn't particularly like devout. It was more just like, this is the thing we do because this is what we do. And you have to be here. Nobody wants to be here, but we all have to go because you don't want to chance it with the big man.
Yeah. And from your understanding, maybe of Catholicism or just Christianity in general,
sure.
if you were to die today and wake up and it's like, okay, there is a judgment day and I am standing before God, how would you do? You know?
Well, so I would hope, you know, if there is a God and he's omnipotent and all-knowing and all, you know, like he would judge me based on the life I lived, and that not, you know, hopefully I did good enough to get in, right?
Yeah.
Not that anybody's keeping score or that I'm doing it for that reason, but just like, and I guess, like I said, it's a big bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like, you know, I live a good life. I try to do unto others. Like I like the tenets of Christianity. I just don't really like the institution.
Yeah.
That's where I think it kind of gets like,
a lot of people will say, I like Jesus and his teachings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't like the church.
Yeah,
and the people and the rules they give, or they add to it, or whatever. Right. So,
and I think that's kind of where I land. Like, I don't necessarily, I follow it because it's their Christian teachings. I think it's just like good moral behavior, right? Doing to others, like, you know, don't. The only time I look in my neighbor's bowl is to make sure they have enough. You know, like. Yeah. Don't compare myself to everybody else, that kind of a thing. And that's also, I'm not some high and mighty, you know, whatever. Right. I'm not trying to paint myself out to be better than I am. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's been doing pretty good for me so far. Yeah. You know?
Can I give you a short, I'll try to make it short because you're in a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah, it's a little chilly
cold
out here.
Maybe I should. Well, I will. It's like a good person test.
Okay, sure.
Because Jesus had this guy that came up to him and said, Lord, what must I do to inherit the kingdom of heaven or eternal life? And he actually told him some things that he needs to do. So, and what he told him was based on the 10 Commandments. So how many lies do you think you've told in your life?
Countless.
So you would be called a what?
A sinner, I would imagine.
Sinner, and more specifically a liar, right?
Of course.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Just I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's more like, so like in the Bible, the 10 Commandments are designed to be like a mirror, so we look into it and we can see ourselves.
Of course.
So it's like I look in the 10 Commandments, it's like, oh man, I'm a liar because I've told lies.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Have you ever used God's name in vain?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Moment of frustration.
It's called blasphemy.
Yeah.
So that's.
I'm sure I'm like breaking a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I've broken every single one of them. Yeah. In some way or another. Now, okay, it says don't be a murderer, right?
Right, yeah.
But Jesus then expanded on it and he said, if you look at your brother, he said, you shall not murder, but if you look at your brother with anger and you call him a fool, you're in danger of the fire of hell.
Yeah, well,
which is like, wow, Jesus, I thought you were this like nice, kind, you know, merciful. Yeah, right. And he's saying, you know, he's really being serious. He's actually saying it's worse than just killing someone. It's like, don't even hurt people with your words.
It's every time I get in the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. Road rage.
Yeah.
So, so guilty as charged, right?
Of course.
So like if you stood before God, would you be innocent or guilty? You've lied, you've blasphemed his name, you know, like,
you know, and that kind of is where
murdered with your words.
I'm kind of fitting him into like, I hope he understands that overall the infractions weren't as bad. Like I'm a net positive. Yeah. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
And you and me, before I really understood what was going on here, and most people will say, if my good outweighs my bad, I think I'm one of the good guys, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm not a serial killer or whatever.
Right.
But the Bible actually says you must be perfect, that God is holy, that according to his standard we fall short.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's why it says Jesus died not for good people, the good half, you know, but he died for sinners, which is actually all of us.
Sure.
And so, and that's what he was teaching this young man who came up to him. This guy was a rich young man, and he said, go and sell everything. He said, have you followed the 10 Commandments? And the guy said, yes. Nobody really has.
Right,
so I think Jesus overlooked that. But then Jesus said, okay, go and sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and come follow me. And the guy was like, you know, like, I don't know what to do. And so it showed that his money was more important to him than actually following God. And so Jesus used that as a way to show us that, we're not the good, perfect people. Not that you're saying you're perfect.
No, I understand.
No one does.
Right.
But that we're the good people we think we are.
Yeah.
And that's why it would say that we need Jesus. So
yeah, sure.
I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know it's cold out.
This has been fun. I appreciate, thanks for picking me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You were the only person out here, but
They're coming and going.
Yeah, and I'll give you the link to my website. I think it's always fun to see how other people answer it.
Yeah, sure.
And
that'd be fun.
like where people go with it. I try to find out, like, people have strong doubts or strong beliefs, but I try to find out like their journey, like how they get there.
Right.
You know. And,
no, it's
and then relate the Bible to some of the things they say. So.
I think that's good in all regards. Like we need more man on the street.
Yeah.
Pulse of the people type stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I'm happy to do this.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So all right, I'll turn this off.
Awesome.
Can I say a